I wish to begin by acknowledging the importance of this annual debate and, importantly, the provision of the Secretary-General's annual report on this matter, and further thank him for this year's report, Responsibility to Protect, the Commitment to Prevent and Protect Populations from Atrocity Crimes. It is also important to applaud the complementary roles provided by the United Nations Office on Genocide Prevention and the Responsibility to Protect, and the mandate of the two special advisors. South Africa agrees with the assessment that there is an ongoing disregard for international humanitarian law and international human rights law by both state and non-state actors, as well as the recognition that this collective failure to protect populations from atrocity crimes has undermined the trust placed in the international system. We are also supportive of the report's focus on prevention strategies and that are focused on addressing concerns before they escalate into crises. Therefore, it is our duty as states and the international community to commit to preventing such acts from occurring and establishing methodologies that are better aimed at the prevention of such atrocity crimes as delineated in the Secretary-General's report. As we are all aware, the notion of the responsibility to protect, as defined in the 2005 World Summit Outcome document, highlights that it is the responsibility of the state to protect its population from genocide, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and ethnic cleansing. Unfortunately, history is replete with examples of atrocity crimes that provide a greater understanding of the contributing factors that enabled such crimes to occur, and provides us with sophisticated tools to identifying and implementing preventative measures against the recurrence of atrocity crimes. Mr. President, South Africa would like to highlight the following points as it relates to the report of the Secretary-General. Firstly, the growth in violent crimes throughout the world has seen the employment of tactics by state and non-state actors that have violated international humanitarian law. This reinforces the need and obligation to protect civilians in the conduct of hostilities through the principles of distinction, proportionality, necessity, and precaution. This is in particular reference to conflicts where parties have used disproportionate force and, importantly, have not adequately distinguished between military and civilian infrastructure. Furthermore, the targeting and total destruction of civilian infrastructure has resulted in human-made humanitarian crises as civilian populations face starvation, illness, and death due to the lack of humanitarian access. 2. Increased human rights violations and discrimination against vulnerable groups is indicative of a heightened risk for the potential for atrocity crimes. In 2024, the world will experience elections in more than 60% of its nations, which provides a positive message for democracy and people-centered governance. It is equally an opportunity for political rhetoric that relies on the further isolation against communities that are routinely discriminated against and marginalized. We are concerned about the specific targeting and discrimination of groups that promotes identity-based incitement and violence. In particular, the rise of gender-based hate speech and violence is extremely concerning, as is the increase and continuation of discriminatory practices such as the stigmatization and criminalization against the LGBTQI+ community. These are the early warning signs of high-risk environments we should give due regard to. 3. The international community has access to a multitude of tools provided by the United Nations Charter, international law, including human rights and humanitarian law, on preventative measures for conflicts and atrocity crimes. We should utilize the full array of tools available to the international community to seek peaceful solutions to conflict situations. The occurrence of such atrocity crimes within conflicts should be equally addressed through the international system, particularly international legal frameworks available to halt it when it is occurring. In this regard, South Africa made a submission to the International Court of Justice regarding the conflict in Gaza and our assertion that it amounts to an atrocity crime. It is our contention that we are witnessing a genocide unfold and that Israel, as the perpetrators, should cease their actions and permit humanitarian access. The ICJ submission has resulted in the ICJ instructing a halt in actions by Israel on the 24th of May this year to prevent further civilian harm and allow humanitarian access to the internally displaced Palestinian people in the besieged territory of Gaza. Similarly, South Africa, together with Bangladesh, Bolivia, Comoros, and Djibouti, referred on the 17th of November 2023 the situation in Palestine to the International Criminal Court. We welcome the responsible act of the prosecutor of the ICC on the application for arrest warrants against the perpetrators of these atrocity crimes, and we entrust the ICC to bring the perpetrators to account, and thereby ensuring that the people of Palestine are granted the justice they are entitled to. South Africa will continue to use these platforms to promote and prioritize the prevention of atrocity crimes and encourage peace through negotiations and the end of the conflict. Mr. President, we should also note that this report has given due recognition in advances in preventive measures that enable the protection of civilian populations. This is a collection of actions taken by key actors throughout society that either provide tools for monitoring and evaluation, forums for discussion amongst member states, such as the Peace Building Commission, and international and national commissions of inquiry that collect, consolidate, and preserve evidence. Importantly, there is also the generation of critical jurisprudence on atrocity crimes that is contributing to build strong legal frameworks. To this end, South Africa will continue to support the importance of international law and adherence to that law as critical to the prevention of genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. 5. The essence of the responsibility to protect is through preventative action and systems before atrocity crimes occur, and not when they occur. South Africa agrees that the prevention of atrocity crimes begins well before the risk factors emerge through the protection and promotion of all human rights, especially for vulnerable groups. Importantly, the discussion on preventing and impending atrocity crimes occurs too late, as risk factors were not taken seriously or the international community was unable to act in a preventative measure. And finally, I wish to take this opportunity to reiterate that South Africa remains committed to instruments that promote and implement the royal responsibility to protect, and further acknowledges the details contained in the Secretary-General's report. In particular, South Africa appreciates the focus on prevention as a continuous process through the important application of constant monitoring and evaluation. An architecture designed towards prevention is more capable of recognizing patterns and can propose timely adjustments. It is important that prevention and protection uses evidence and mechanisms to safeguard societies and institutions. This importantly includes adherence to international law, including the role of the United Nations to remind states of their obligations under respective treaties and to take necessary diplomatic steps to halt these actions within the United Nations system. In conclusion, Mr. President, we must acknowledge that this plenary meeting is more critical today than ever before, as we strive together to protect people from genocide, war crimes, ethnic cleansing, and crimes against humanity. We are witnessing an unfolding genocide in Gaza, and it is important to note that Israel has several obligations under international law to prevent this atrocity crime, which they are not fulfilling. This includes the importance of the obligation and legal responsibility of occupying powers over people that they occupy to protect them from such atrocity crimes, and the application of distinction and proportionality to its unjustified military action. The application of the principles of responsibility to protect should not be selective and apply universally to all states. This is reinforced by frank and open debates that are critical to recognizing our current shortcomings, such that we are able to advance as an international community. I thank you.